Howdy, how's it going, everybody? This is the Cool Skull. You're watching Cool Skull TV. We are going to take you to another place, okay? Another dimension, another realm. And we're going to learn slowly, teach you all how to be cool. I know you all want to be just as cool as I am, because it's very hard to do so and it takes a lot of time. But mind me while I teach you how to draw. I take a swig of Jack Daniels. Just little bits here and there, you know. So let me take you guys over to my monitor while I'm drawing. So I got a Wacom Cintiq. Well, Wacom, it's not a Cintiq, it's a One. It's like basically a tiny budget version of a Cintiq. So, which is fitting because my name is Juan. So let me make actually a new animation. I'm going to teach you guys about how to draw. You got to open your mind, you know, you really got to open your mind and chill out and not worry at all when you're drawing, because a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking that they got to be like perfect at making every line perfect before it goes down or whatever, if they really want to be an artist, but that's not very true. Draw lightly, you know what I mean? This thing's very pressure sensitive, so if you notice, you can barely see the lines on the screen. And you press harder and then it gets darker, right? So start to think about that. This isn't just digital software. I'm using Clip Studio Paint, but I want you to start thinking about that when you really draw on real paper. In fact, the beginner lesson to draw real interesting shit is just draw scribbles. The reason you want to do this, if you just keep continuous light scribbles, the reason you want to do this is because you need to loosen up your muscles between your fingers and your hand and your wrist and your arm. You need to learn how to make these perfect smooth scribbles while your back is perfectly arched backwards and you're not slouching or having bad posture or nothing. Once you do that, you start pressing harder down and just start scribbling. Just keep scribbling. Okay? You guys really need to be scribbling, because the scribbling is what is going to loosen you up. You know, don't ever, people usually say like, oh, I can't draw a straight line. Well, you shouldn't ever draw a straight line. Ever. There's no reason to draw a straight line. If you have to get an architecturally perfect straight line, then you're going to need a ruler. You're not going to be able to use just your fingers, you know what I mean? There's no way for you to get a straight line with just your fingers, so don't even try. In fact, that's how you get straight lines, is to not try. You have to really not fear it. You have to not be afraid of it. But you're probably afraid of it, you know what I mean? That's why you can't draw a damn straight line. But that's with all things, you have to overcome the fear, of course. So I'm just going to erase that layer, because that was just scribbles. We could turn it into something real, but I'm going to start showing you now the next step of pencil drawing illustration. This is digital, but this goes for the same exact things on regular pen and paper illustration. What you're going to want to do is to find the form of whatever you're drawing. So I don't know what you're drawing, but let's say you're drawing a hot dog. Okay, we're just gonna draw a hot dog in a bun. You know, nothing weird. Let's see if I'm gonna make the basic form of where this hot dog. You can make like a kind of like a rectangular cube. That's kind of the most geometrically basic shape that represents where the hot dog will be, right? So I starting to think, okay, so let me go from the front. What's at the end of a hot dog? Probably the hot dog sticking out in the middle area, and then the buns. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of see it. but I'm drawing inside the bounds of where the box is because that makes more sense to me. That's where the limitation of the bounds are for my sketch. And I'm not really, when I draw sketches, I don't think about that box. But what I'm saying is that you need to start thinking about that imaginary box. I don't draw that box right away, but I think about the form. Okay. In fact, eventually you might have to draw bounding boxes and preview forms for almost everything until you get more really comfortable with it. Then you start drawing things. So then I'm gonna draw like ketchup. See what I'm saying? Because the key to drawing naturally and not really stress about it is to just understand forms. That's all it is. If you don't understand the form, you can't draw it. If you understand the form, it's because you've looked at it for a long time and you can draw it. So I'm going to touch lightly, really lightly, to kind of scribble around wrinkles and bumps around this hot dog bun so it looks more like an actual hot dog bun, because that's kind of an interesting detailed texture. But see how I'm really going really loose and light with these lines? That's how you need to be, even with a physical pen and paper in real life. That's why this is so interesting that the digital realm is able to emulate it this well. Never has been able to do it before, but it's pretty interesting. It really feels like I'm just drawing on paper, but it's a lot faster because of all the shortcuts and things. Now, a lot of people think that with digital art that those shortcuts are you cheating. Now, here's the thing. My position on art cheating is that it doesn't really matter as long as you're using your time wisely, especially, like if you could art cheat but then also edit the videos and then also do all the other things that go along with it, then you're saving a lot of time by art cheating, and it's not really cheating, it's just about speeding up efficiency. It's about perfecting your workflow. In fact, perfecting your workflow is a better way to look at it. I think it's a better, more important way to understand it, because that's what you're doing. You're perfecting your workflow. Eventually you're gonna want to do certain types of things more hardcore. Sometimes you're gonna not want to ever do a certain part of the aspect of your business at all, and then you have a team member work on it with you. But when you're illustrating, just understand forms. Okay, so you got a hot dog. Now you kind of see these round shapes. See, because here's the thing: you can just make random scribbles and doodles and blue blobs into realistic looking shapes. So I'm gonna go as an experiment, just draw a random scribble with. Okay, actually that one's kind of interesting. So I can kind of imagine all these different blobs around it, but I think like there's like some sort of dinosaur face. I'm like drawing little teeth. See, if you are able to just look into clouds and see shapes, then you can do this. Especially if you loosen up and just start scribbling. You'd be surprised at what comes out of your drawings. As long as you're at peace, if you can really meditate and then just find connection with God, you'll notice yourself drawing shit better, just out of nowhere, like a magic trick. Because then all of a sudden you're letting God draw through you, And that's how I draw all the time. If I'm drawing from my own power, it takes forever. But when I draw with God's power, it speeds up the process, and it raises the quality so much. So you know that random scribble, I just kind of gave it a little extra detail because I understand how all these other shapes and forms are connected. You notice that? I understand the forms. If you understand the forms, all this stuff is so freaking easy. All it takes is you just draw a lot. You know, it's not that complicated. You're only going to get good by drawing a lot. And that's, you know, if you only get good at anything, it's because of some sort of understanding, you know. And if you get good at drawing, it's because you understand form. Understand the textures, you know what I mean? Textures and the form all together. Then you can just draw it, scribble it up. Loosely, lightly, don't stress it. Let it happen. If it's not happening, make a new drawing. You don't drive yourself crazy over one drawing at a time either. It's kind of pointless too. If you like think your drawing's really bad, just fucking start over. But there's something to be said about finishing even your least favorite stuff, because then you can judge it better. But I don't know. I've always thought that my stuff was kind of like the best right when out of the gate of me just creating it, you know what I mean? And then it's not till I start questioning it and thinking that it's crappy art or crappy music or something till after I created it, then I listen to it back and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not as good as I wanted. And you get new ideas, you know. But while I'm making everything, I always felt like I just always wanted to make my favorite art, you know what I mean? My favorite music, my favorite everything. I actually do think it's important. Alright. Yeah, so, I mean, you got a little dinosaur guy kind of scribbled up, right? So, you know, see how we can just make a random scribble look kind of like weird intestines, you know what I mean? It's because you're going around with a form. You gotta find the form of the shape you're creating. Focus on that. Bring it out. Bring it to life. And then all of a sudden, just loosen up. Don't be in charge of your drawing. Let it just come out. Let it come out. Let God bring the drawing off of the paper. You can't do any of this on your own. You have to have help and assistance. Especially artists, because a lot of artists think, oh, I'm so great because I learned this technique and I did this thing. No, that's not you. All art is a really elaborate version of channeling, and people don't respect that or understand that. And if you are channeling energy and you don't understand where it's coming from, it's gonna overcome you at some point, you know. So that's why artists are so emotional and weak very often, because they're dabbling in spiritual channelings and they don't even know why. They don't even know how it happens. They don't even understand it. But yeah, so this is basically just my sketch of a wormhole, you know, coming at you guys. But yeah. So that's just, I really think you guys need to be drawing more often. So just draw something, you know what I mean? Send it to me, Juan at coolskull.com. Juan at coolskull.com, that's me. I'm Juan. This is my drawing tutorial show. So just fucking check it out. Rock and roll. If you don't like the show, put that in the comments too. I don't really care. That's fucking rad. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I hope you are able to maintain peace and prosperity and achieve all of the goals in front of you. Alright? Thank you very much. Cool Skull signing out.